Hey everybody, Barry here again. Go painting today. This is fun, and I'm doing a color that I've never done before. Funny enough, it's black. I've never done black before. I'm not even joking. I have done Ford blue, cast iron gray, lime green, 3 different shades of purple. Like I've done a lot of different colors, but I have never done an engine black. I don't know why. Game plan before I start rambling. I'm going to mask it off. I'm going to paint it. I'll probably do 2 coats. Let's start. It's been a while since I've done any actual real-time stuff. It has been quite a little while. Usually I always go for the time lapse and just kind of make a long video short with time lapse, but sometimes I just want to have one topic or one thing going on in the video and not have 20 different things going on. Like this video is only going to be about painting this engine. That's it. I'm not even going to fire up the forklift and do any shenanigans with that. I probably should have used something a bit thinner than 2-inch wide tape. But all the surface that I'm doing here, this is just gasket surface, and I don't mind it being a little bit rugged looking because the gasket and the timing cover are going to be out over the painted surface anyway. Basically, I just don't want to get any paint inside of the engine. I'm not really worried about having it on the gasket surface as much. It'll look cleaner if I take a lot of time and do a really, really good job at taping. It would look cleaner with no parts on it, but I'm not really overly concerned about that, if I'm honest. And you should be able to see in the video here, this edge here where you can see that it's really satin looking or sandblasted looking, and then you get into the nice smooth metal here. That's because I had the front cover bolted to the front of the block here. And these are the parts that didn't get blasted, so I am going to cover up the bolt holes just to keep paint out of the threads, because I already tapped all these threads. I didn't actually have that on video, but I got an M8 by 1.25 tap and chased all the threads in the block. And I already did all the M10 holes before. So that's just a little bit of a development since the last video. I didn't bother going full time and tapping all the holes on film. You know, I don't really consider that quite necessary, but I did it anyway. So there's a lot of really cool things happening with this build. Obviously, we all know by now that the Escalade frame didn't work out. There is potential for me to have a different frame, a completely different frame. I'm not going to say anything about that yet, but it may not be a Gen 3 frame, I should say that. I think the easiest thing for me to do here, I think I'll tape over all that, and then I'll cut it out with my razor blade. I don't think I've painted an engine in full time before, or in real time I should say. So this is new for both of us. Yeah, there we go. So cut that out. And just do this. And that's the size of the gasket. I'm pretty sure the water pump is actually a little bit bigger than the gasket. And you won't be able to see behind it anyway. And in reality, we're not going to see most of this block anyway. So I'm kind of taking my time, but also kind of, you know, not being absolutely 100% particular. I wanted the engine to be clean, and it's clean, inside and out, so that's nice. It's going to be black. That's a total pain. Just going to tear off that bit there. Come on, work. Huh, look at that. I like it. It's not perfect, and it's not pretty, but it'll work. I hope there's no razor blade scratches in my metal after I'm done the paint, but that's it. Okay. The other side. Oh, I don't need that yet. With this stuff here, as long as it looks good with all the accessories bolted on, and I have everything painted and sealed so that no paint gets into the cylinders or the oil passages or any of that stuff, I'm good. And plus, I was talking to Jorge today, and we were talking about how cluttery turbo engine bays get, especially twin turbo engine bays like the Rat Rod. That is insanely hard to see anything there. Okay, and I just like to draw around here a little bit. This way, bolt holes are all covered up. Doesn't have to be perfect. As long as everything is covered. Trace it around with the bluntest razor blade I've ever used in my life. So it's been a little while since I've asked you guys, what are you working on? What's everybody got in their garage? What are you waiting for spring to bring out of storage? Or I assume there's people who are watching who are a lot closer to the equator than I am, and you don't have to wait for spring. And yes, I do envy you. I'm very happy for you. But yeah, what's everybody working on? I like hearing about your projects as much as I like working on my own junk. Perfect. One thing I've got to do after I get this engine block painted up is, and really it doesn't matter, it's not like order of operations. Something I got to do is go out into the back lot, and I have a 5.3 in the pan of a truck out there. I've got to get Cass to help me pull that truck out of a snowbank and get the engine out of the back of it so I can pull the crank out and maybe, and I need your guys' help with this, I've got 243 heads. Should I use flat top pistons to keep the compression up? And I wouldn't have an issue with that if we had 93 octane or corn fuel around here, but we have absolute garbage 91. So should I keep the compression up with flat top pistons, or should I take those dished pistons out of the 5.3 and put in this to keep compression down so that the engine will survive? So let me know what you think, because by the time this video comes out, I'm not there yet. So let me know, because really, yeah, going out and blowing up engines is fun, and I really do enjoy rebuilding them and putting them back in and stuff, but it'd be kind of cool to be able to actually drive it and make more than 2 pulls without blowing it up every time. I don't know if I've had that, at least not very often. There's been a lot of times where I'd be out tuning, like Frampton and I or whoever out tuning with me, and we were just starting to make some power. Engine's running phenomenal. One last pull before the night's over, kaboom. Break ring lands or break a piston. One day I lost oil pressure, which had nothing to do with the fuel or anything like that. I don't actually know what that was. I think the O-ring might have had, the pickup O-ring might have been the cause of that one, but still it happened. So it'd be kind of cool just to be able to drive it and have some fun. Especially with an automatic and how much load that's on an automatic transmission or an engine that's paired to an automatic. Another thing is it's a 4L60. So I do suspect that I'll have transmission trouble. What are you doing? There we go. I'll have transmission trouble long before I have engine trouble. But since I said it out loud, I'll probably never have transmission problems and blow up several engines. But then it is a 4L60, so. And it probably has 400,000 miles on it. This cheap green tape, like, it's not great, but I love it because it's cheap. So I'm not worried about putting 4 strips of tape over and having to go cut paper and stuff. The people who are really, really good at masking and taping, like you watch some of the car shows, and some guys make masking and taping look like art. I'm like, wow, man, how did you do that? I was looking around for a 4.8 valley cover, because for the DOD guys, or the guys who know the DOD, this cover, the original 5.3 cover, is not really going to work well for me, and I got to modify it, and I'd just rather not do that. I was looking at the 4.8 cover, which is basically a DOD delete cover, and I was looking on Amazon, and Canadian, they're like $120. On Rock Auto, I think it was like $120 shipped. And I called our local GM dealership, and it was $88 with free shipping. They didn't have it in stock, but it was $88 to have it shipped, or sorry, to buy it. plus tax. So it was cheaper and faster than it will be for me to get that. So I think the next time I get paid from YouTube or something, I'm just going to buy that rather than trying to modify this DOD plate that looks really ugly. Charles did mention using an A37 bearing, but retail, they're like $30 something for the one bearing that I take the rollers out of and smash in here, and $37 or $38. And I was like, for another little bit I could just have the plate and not have to go modifying this and then modifying the valley cover and stuff. So I'm not even gonna mess with it. I'm just gonna buy that cover. So for anybody who hasn't been around for the original plan for this engine, it's an aluminum 5.3 out of an 08 Chev truck that had issues. It had issues. The intake valves hit every piston. There was oil sludged up in it. I don't know. I really can't say how long it was there or how long since it had an oil change. And I think it was a relatively low miles engine, so it was like, it probably had oil in it for 7 or 8 years before the guy who I got it off of ended up getting it. And so as for modification, of course I cleaned up, sandblasted it. My buddy sent me a set of rings for it. So it's going to have a brand new set of rings. It'll be the first time I've ever had new rings on an engine, which is super cool. Got a sloppy stage 2 cam along with Pack 1218 springs for it that Jorge sent, and the 92mm throttle body for a Trailblazer SS intake. And for my birthday, my wife bought me a GT45 max speeding rods turbo. So best wife ever. She did the cast on that one. I always told her, she doesn't watch my videos now. I don't think she's ever actually watched any of my videos, but I was like, when I die and you actually go to watch them, you're going to see how much I talk about you. So it should be a pretty decent engine. Like, I know it's a combination that everybody and their grandmother's done. 5.3 sloppy stage 2 cam, GT45. You know, I'm not a pioneer by any means, but it'll be the first time that I have ever had something like that with an automatic. I have the Caravan, which has a 6-liter and a 4L80, but I've driven the Caravan like 10 or 15 times, so I can't really say that I've, you know, and it's got a stock torque converter in it, and that kind of thing. So, dude, this is coming really nice. Wow. So as for the transmission, I have no plans for it whatsoever. I really don't. It's going to get a torque converter, of course, because there's no point in having a cam and a turbo with a stock converter. It's just not going to work. I actually did that in the Cadillac when I put a turbo on the Escalade. I had an LS6 cam in it, which is just basically a factory cam. But yeah, it wasn't very good. So it'll get a converter. But it should be a bit of fun, man. I'm not going for any big major power or anything. I'll run it on probably 10 pounds because of the gas that I said earlier. I'd run it on 25 if I could. I actually hit 30 PSI in the rat rod once, and it was insane. When my wastegate, I can't even pronounce the brand of wastegate that I bought. It was a 44 millimeter, and it decided that it wanted to stick while I was wide open in third gear. And I gotta say, it was a party. It was a party. And I didn't even let out of it until the turbo surged. So it was a 66 millimeter Mack dump truck turbo. And I saw the gauge hit 30 pounds. And then the turbo went, and I was like, wow, I'm still wide open. That's not healthy. It's supposed to, you know, it can surge when you let off, but not while you're still wide open throttle. That's a bit hard onto everything. But the funny thing is the engine didn't blow up right away. A few weeks later, it started to smoke and knock, and I found 2 pistons were cracked. Has anybody actually painted an engine fully assembled? Like if you had all your front cover and rear cover and stuff. I'm sure somebody's done it, but have you? And how did it turn out? Like, had everything assembled on there and then, you know. I like how I can ramble while I'm working. And I'm not just stood up walking around with the camera talking about nothing. I'm actually doing stuff. It's kind of cool. Just kind of want to fill in these bolt holes with some tape. Being that the bolt holes are blind and cylindrical, it's a very good chance paint is not going to stick in there anyway. It's just kind of going to blow back out. But I still want to tape them off just to be sure. Let me know how you like this format. Does it work? Does it work? That's a question. When I kind of work and talk and it's in real time, there's no random music and time lapse. I'm not an innovator by any means. I just kind of do my own thing. But I always kind of think about what you guys want to see too. So if you like this, or you like the time lapse thing, or if you like, if you don't like anything that I do, just tell me. I'm taping off this whole back here. I'm not going to paint anything inside there. Mainly because I also don't want to paint where the bell housing sits, because the engine and transmission have to have a perfect mating surface. I don't want it to be thicker over on this side than here or something and end up having alignment issues with my transmission. Is that even a real thing? Because I feel like it is. Just gonna kind of get it right there like that, and that'll work good. If I have to, I'll sand some of it off the back, you know. Let's do that there. Dwayne really wanted to powder coat the block. And if I wasn't as compulsive as I am, and if I wasn't like, hey man, that's going to be a lot of material and a lot of your time, and I can't afford to pay you. If I didn't care about any of those things, this would be powder coated. And as I'm saying it right now, I'm like, man, Dwayne really wanted to do this. Should have just let him do it. But he is, however, going to powder coat the turbo. And I cannot wait to see how that turns out. He made a 2x2x8 powder coating oven, which is a big oven. And it would have no problem whatsoever fitting this block in it. So if you want your engine block powder coated, see Dwayne. In a couple of videos time, I'm going to have his contact information when he's ready, and I'm going to give him a huge shout out as soon as he'll let me. And I'll show you some of the things that he's done. He took one of my old pistons and one of my old connecting rods and my engine and powder coated both of them. And he did one chrome and it looked so cool. So I told him, I was like, Dwayne, the next time you do powder coat a piston or something of the sort, let me know, because I want to take my worst one, the one that has the most damage, and get it coated. I have no idea why I want to pick the worst one. You think you'd want to pick the nicest looking one, and, you know, that kind of thing, but I'm all about carnage, so it sort of makes sense in my mind anyway. I've seen powder coated things before. Like, it's not necessarily a big new thing, but I've never really seen it up close. And it's so cool. And the color that we have picked out for the turbo, that I'm not going to say what it is until the reveal, is so cool and, in my opinion, pretty off the wall for what I've normally done. That looks good back there. Got a little bit more to do on the bottom. I think I might have actually been inspired to do the video in this fashion from Matt from Sloppy. Just how effortlessly. Wow, that was really hard to say. He does videos. And it's just like, hey guys, I'm Matt. Watch me do stuff. I'm like, man, this guy's awesome. So that might be why I chose to do the video in this way today. Oh God. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure where the transmission ends, but I assume all this is covered up back here. So right to there, and I'm just going to kind of trace the oil pan here. I guess this could be like a guide on how to paint an engine block really well. I hadn't intended on doing it as a guide, but if you want to call it that, I'll probably end up calling that in the title or whatever. How to paint your engine block, and I'm sure many people have already beaten me to this. But hey, if you learn something, that's cool. Now, how am I going to do this without wasting a big roll of tape? I don't think I am. I haven't really shown the prep in this, which I suppose is a thing. You've got to prep your workspace, your material, prep your block. And I haven't really done that, but it's the same as prepping any surface for paint. Clean and degrease, the two big things. You got to clean and degrease your material or your product. I use Everything Cleaner, which is, I guess, like a multi-purpose degreaser. and power washed it with a foam cannon, and then air dried it with a blast of air because I didn't want any sitting water on this thing, especially in the cast iron cylinders, that kind of thing. And it came out really nice. If you choose, you can really take your time with this. I used to like bolting a gasket onto the surface and then just tape it over. That worked really well. But I'm just kind of taping just behind the gasket so that it'll be a nice seamless paint line, I'll say, or tape line maybe, when everything is all assembled. That's my little trick. Because if I try to make the gasket surface perfect with the tape line and the gasket is off a little bit, then I've got a black oil pan, a black engine block, and then a nice little silver seam here where there's no paint, and that would irritate me. I'd probably repaint the whole thing. But I mean, that's just me. You can do whatever you want. Now, I wouldn't use $9 or $10 a roll tape in the way that I'm using it, but with this stuff that I wouldn't tape a car with, anyway. And I'm just gonna tape across the back to cover that in. Right across the whole surface in here. Just kind of pinching along with my hands. Not ideal, like I said. Wasteful, definitely. But it will work. And the cool thing is it'll all come off in one big sheet when I get it painted. It actually looks really cool when it's taped up nice. That is super cool. You just gotta take your time. You probably just push it in like that. As long as, you know, I'm not gonna be painting right here anyway. So I'm not gonna be spraying paint directly at an open spot in the tape. This is absolutely not a perfect job. I'm kind of embarrassed. But it is taped and it is masked off. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Paper would have been the way to do this. Work. Oh no, I already taped off the heads. So I can't get at it. But hey, let's just kind of pinch that together here, and then I'll put a little bit more tape over it. Because, you know, we're already wasting tape here. Look at that. I will be putting off applications to high-end body shops as a masking taping guy. Keep me in mind. All right, we're almost done actually. And really everything's going black, so I don't have to mask off the little bolt. I don't have to mask off the heater core, what do you call block heater plug on the other side. So it's just like, you know, do over the engine mount bolts. Because I don't want to paint those, because usually I like to have it grounded through the block to the frame. Even though I have a ground wire on the block, it's also nice to have it on the frame too. I think I might try this tappy tack hammer thing that I've seen so many people do, and I've never mastered myself. Let's try it. People use it for gaskets and stuff all the time. Where you just put your tape on like that and then whack it all the way around with a hammer. Pretty neat trick. Cool, let's try it. I don't really have a small hammer. Let's see if I can get this to work at all. I'm probably going to want earmuffs. Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. Why have I never tried this before? Wow. Okay, this is one of those times where I say definitely do try this at home. Because this is glorious. And it's actually fast enough that I can do the whole thing in real time. A little more tappy tappy tap. And you don't necessarily need the BFH for this. And I don't actually have a BFH, so I'm going to use my BFA. See, this one is really good for precision work. All the precision. But for these tight spots. Sometimes you just need intricacy. Oh, my hands are rotten now after touching that axe. Now, how will I do this? Will I just do that? No, I won't do that. I wonder if the hammer will work there too. I bet it will. See if I can sneak the razor down in here. This is where the crank sensor goes, so it's nice to have it have like a decent job done. There we go, it's not bad at all. I don't really want to have any go in through there. That looks good. I was looking at how to seal up these cross bolt holes here for the main bearings. for the main caps. And what I figured out is use one of these little trim clip things here. This is 247-221. Let's get down here further. There we go. Pepco makes them. So I'm just going to kind of stick those in there. And what I'm going to do is I'll paint the bottom of the block first, like it is here. And then I'll tip them over and then they'll fall out. But they won't fall out when I'm painting. It's like the absolute perfect size for that hole, so I'm not going to worry about having the having any paint get inside of here and then end up with oil leaks or something. I've heard some pretty odd names for these. Like one guy calls them fuzzy nails. I don't know why. Or furry nails or something. I don't know. People have weird names for stuff. I gotta put a little bit extra tape in a couple places. I'm gonna shove those in here. And these are super cheap. I think they're like 15 cents each or something, so definitely not gonna be overly expensive. All right, a little more tape, a little more tappy tap. Not enough tape. A little bit more tape. This is, like, I learned how to do this in trade school like 10 years ago. And I don't know if I've ever actually applied it until now. So it took me a while, Steve, but you did teach me to how to make gaskets. I'm not even going to tape over this thing. I don't care. I'd rather it just be black. Mint. Still blown away. Oh no, I tore it. Well, it's not bad. I messed up one out of all those. Let's try that one again. And it was the hardest one to get at, so I don't feel too bad. This thing gets in the way. Come on, work. Are you really going to do this to me today? Oh, I got it. It's good enough for me. If you noticed that I missed a couple of bolt holes, you're a lot more observant than I am. And I applaud you. Let's put that right there. So what side would this be? This is driver's side, so this is going to be covered by the alternate. Man, I cannot square. I don't have a square piece of tape at all. I'm going to cut that off nice and straight across there, so it looks like I meant to do that. Oh, I can use the hammer again. I will literally be using that at every opportunity now. Okay, now one last bolt, two last bolt holes, because I missed another one. Be observant. Be very observant. More than I am. Okay, I suppose let's just do it like this. Now this actually probably doesn't even matter that I'm taping this one off, because it's just the alternator bracket bolts, but you know, let's just assume that the alternator grounds through the block, which I think it does, or at least I'm hoping it does, and it may lose contact if I don't have those clean, nice and clean. Let's get some more tape right there. A little more tape up here. And I think we might be ready to paint. So overview, look at this, man. I'm okay with that. It looks great. I love that tape job on the bolt holes. Wonderful. Looks awesome. I think I'll paint now. What I'll be using is this Duplicolor engine enamel. It's a gloss black. Part number down here, Canadian, is CDE 1613. I think the American part number might just be DE 1613, but gloss black it is. I'm not going to be using primer. I never have. It says there is a Duplicolor engine enamel primer. I just don't have it. So, straight paint. Future Barry here. While I'm editing this video, I forgot to put on my respirator. I always stress about using the proper equipment, you know, safety glasses, respirators, all that stuff. And I actually forgot to put it on, which kills me. Now I know I have a beard and mustache, all that, so it probably doesn't help a lot anyway, but I want to stress to wear a respirator. Aerosols will kill you. Maybe not today, maybe in 15 years time. So forgive me this one time. It will not happen again. You gotta shake this stuff up real well, so we don't get any blotchy looking paint or not mixed well. I have this engine degreased. It really shouldn't have any bad spots, but if it does, well, that's what we get, I guess. Let's get some drop cloth or something going here, so not too much overspray. And we'll turn on the fan. So I'm just going to do one dust coat first. Sort of tack it up. I'm not a painter, so really question everything I do. When that tacks up, then I'll start giving it actual coats. And side number 2. Shake in between sprays every minute or so. Not looking for coverage right now. Just looking to get a tack on this thing. So when the next coat of paint goes down, it's starting to adhere to the paint that's there. I'm going to flip this over and see if any of those little plugs come out. We lost the couple. Pop it back in. The cool thing is there's already no paint really on. Anyway, it's pretty neat how it doesn't go into the holes. back here also. Black looks really good, I gotta say. Just dust it over again. I'm not focusing on any of the paint in this area here so that I don't get any inside, but I've got to go around the edges. So. So it's got a decent tack coat on it. You can see there's still lots of spots where it's not fully covered with black. And like around here where there's still very light spots. But I'll let that tack up for a minute or so and read the directions on the can, and then I'll be back. While I'm waiting for this tack coat to tack up, I've got a sort of controversial question. Did you like American Graffiti or two-lane blacktop better? I liked American Graffiti because it had more of a story. But I really liked two-lane blacktop because it was just a bit more technical. I don't know, like there was a lot more questions about cars and concerning cars in two-lane blacktop, but American Graffiti had the style of the era. Let me know what you think. I'm back. Tack coat is tack. I said I was going to read the back of the can. I didn't. More paint. I'm going to do 2 more coats. So this one is going to be heavier. Wipe off that tip a little bit there. This one is going to be a heavier coat, and hopefully it won't run. Definitely not a professional painter. I'm going to paint this from this angle in and then put the engine over and paint it from the other angle so that I get every little crevice, because these are really hard to paint. If you painted it top side and then put the engine over, you've missed half the engine. Really starts to gloss out really well. Alright, now downward angle on this one. Just try to get it into all the spots that I didn't get with the tack coat. It's really hard to get every spot. And second coat for side 2. spray bomb, dude, that is not bad. Look, there's me with the camera. Hello. Wow, that is insane. You'll see that I didn't paint right here. That's because I forgot to mask off right there. That's where the starter bolt's on, and the starter definitely grounds through the block. So I will have to clean that up with a bit of sandpaper. So I'll just avoid that area. I've got one coat left to go, but dude, I think that's almost even good enough as it is. That is wild. So I'll let that dry for 10 minutes or so to tack up, and then we'll do one last coat. Okay, that's tacked up. Let's do the last coat. I'm so excited. Oh, I found a couple spots that never got quite the paint that others did. I'm sure somebody's got a better way to do it than using these little pins. I just don't. I am in love. Look at the reflections. Beautiful. I love it. And I don't even think I got any runs in it. Like, I'm not a good painter. This is foolproof. Wow. So I'm gonna let this dry overnight, not touch it, not peel the tape off, and we'll come back and unwrap it and see what it looks like. Now, here we are, 24 hours later, ready to pull the tape off. Look, first glance, it's got some decent light reflection. Look over, like right here, look at that. I love it. It actually looks really good. Jorge made fun of me. He's like, is that block 100 pounds heavier now? Because it looks like an iron block. Let's tear this tape off. Get a good idea. See what the old girl looks like. There we go. Oh, I wish I could peel it all off the one shot. That'd be like so nice looking. Wow. For this cheap tape, it actually leaves a pretty good line. Wow, it's not bad at all. Holy. Oh, it looks really cool with the tape off, so you can see the raw cylinders and the black in contrast. Wow, how nice is that, man? in the bucket. Now, let's see if I can tear off this without taking any of the paint with it. The sandblasted part looks really cool too. This is why I don't like this tape though. Instead of coming off in one piece, it just rips and tears. Nice. Not bad at all. Alright, put this thing on a tripod so I can actually do this two-handed. Nice. Like I said about my tape line not being real nice here, yeah, it doesn't look great right now, but what I'm looking at is the gasket and the cover is gonna cover that up. You can take a lot of extra time, be very cautious, make your gasket surface perimeter look perfect, but I just don't really see it as necessary myself. For somebody who's more of a perfectionist, either way, I'm sure you'll love the outcome. So let's get this valley cover spot here taken apart. If I could just get one good rip where it's pulled off the whole thing at once, that's sick. Tape is super sticky though, like it does not want to come out. One thing that I am happy that I did was cover every bolt hole. Now I say that, and I'll probably end up finding a bolt hole that I missed. Now that I say that. But I think I did pretty good. Alternator bracket bolts look really good. Probably one other suggestion would be to use like good quality tape so you're not fighting with it every time you go tear it off. Like I really like the green 3M tape. This is like just some Dominion Sure Seal or something like that. And for the right bank, head surface, block mating head, I don't know. Come on, good tear. Let's go. Oh, so close. Oh. And it's got my thumb. I will clean up this surface again, make sure there's no little pieces of tape or anything left. Do a real good job with that. But it does look super cool. And here's the back. The one thing that I should have looked at better was where my starter bolted on. I had forgotten at the time that the starter needs to ground to the block, so I will clean that up with a little bit of sandpaper. It's not a huge deal, but it does need to be addressed. Oh, my plugs. I forgot they were in there. All right, the one good tear. Let's see. Get one good pull with all the tape. Come on. Oh, it might actually do it. Oh, it might actually do it. Yes! We got one. So excited. I'll just go pop. And now I've got a mess of pins to clean up. Totally worth it. So let's get a real good look at this thing. Gasket surface, I think I might have done a little bit of a better job on this side than I did over here. Like it's a little bit choppy looking, but let's be honest, oil pan, gonna cover all that up except for right here, so that's why I painted that. Here is the starter mounting surface that I painted unknowingly. not a big deal. I'll just run some sandpaper right across here. I won't touch this edge or down there or whatever. That's gonna be nice. I caught it, I think, early enough that I only got it on the fog coat, so there's not a big lot of paint on it. Coverage, let's see. I forgot to take off all of these things here. Let's take those off now. And like I said, I painted over the block heater plug here, but I don't really care. I am in Canada, but it's not cold enough here to use a block heater. And I won't be driving this truck anywhere that it's cold enough to use a block heater. I'm not going to Alaska in it. I'm not going anywhere crazy. Labrador or anything like that. The coldest day this year was minus 20. I think it was like minus 30 with wind chill. That's minus 30 Celsius. This one's been a little bit of a pain, but that's it. Not a big deal. It was around minus 30 Celsius, so, and the warmest day this winter was probably 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. Which I guess 7 or 8 degrees Celsius is 40 Fahrenheit, maybe? Somebody couldn't tell me that because I don't know. Looks so cool. It actually looks so much better with all the bolt holes done. Oh, I did miss one. It's for the knock sensor. No way. Yeah, you can see it right here. There's no tape on that one. Always. Oh, that's not a bolt hole. Always double check your work. Take it from the guy who didn't double check his work. Get a pin for that. That's good. All in all, though, I do like how it came out. You know, messed up a couple small spots. I could have been a lot more patient, maybe. But that's all part of the game. I've painted a lot of engines, quite a few actually, and every time I do it, I learn something. Every time. And this time, the paint itself actually came out really nice. Usually I'll get it run. It looks like right here, I got a little bit of a puddle or something there. If you can't see it, it's right there. But that seems to be so far the only spot where it's not really, really nice. Any of these little dimples and stuff you see here, that's actually in the casting. It's not a very clean casting. But other than that, it looks really good. So let's get these pieces off. I want to get this in real time so that I can show exactly how long it takes to paint an engine. The prep, like painting it, is not going to take, it doesn't take very long at all. You'll see at the end of this video however long it is. But the prep, I have so many hours into sandblasting it, power washing. Many times I've power washed this block. It's probably the 4th time or more. So that takes quite a lot longer. I'm actually not going to mess with this up here. It doesn't really bother me that much. Like, it does a little bit, but not enough to go and repaint that, mask it all off again. When this is the back of the block and the head is going to be here, the exhaust manifold comes down right there. So like, really, why am I doing this other than for myself? I'm very pleased with this, actually. Look at the contrast of all the bolt surfaces with the black on this engine block. It is so cool. And now I'm not concerned about my block not grounding through the engine mounts. On this side, at least, I'm not concerned about my knock sensor not grounding correctly. I will fix that. Over here, we have the alternator mounting bracket. And I actually missed one more piece of tape. Let's pull that one off. Yeah, it looks so cool. This is where the alternator bracket mounts on, these 3 here, and I think there's like 1 or 2 more on the cylinder head. And there is one also right here that I forgot to tear the tape off. That's where the power steering mount or power steering pump bolts on. I'm not worried about it not grounding through the block there. And also belt alignment. If I left even the thickness of this piece of tape on there, it's probably going to cause it to be misaligned a little bit. And we know Chevys don't need help making the belt squeak. So let's get an actual walk around here, get a real good look. I'm okay with that. It's not a 10 out of 10. I already know that. Absolutely not. But, geez, close to an 8. It gotta be close to an 8. It looks so cool. I know black is obviously not everybody's first color to choose for an engine. I would use Cummins beige, I don't care. But black got the most votes. And apparently a lot of people wanted to see it. So here it is. And man, I actually love it. I think it's so cool. Everything on this engine is going black. Every part on the engine, as of today, is going black. Tomorrow, I could wake up and want to paint everything bubblegum pink. But right now, it's all going black. That means heads, valve covers, oil pan, front cover, rear cover, valley cover, alternator brackets, all that stuff, all going the same color as this. So it's going to be one big slug of black under the hood. So that's all of that for today. The engine is done. It looks amazing. I love it. I'm so happy. So hopefully this maybe helps somebody. Maybe you have suggestions for me. If you do, let me know. If you want to rate the engine between 0 and 10, or if you want to get more specific, 0 and 100, if you want to get down to like decimal points, let me know what you think. And if you have suggestions, I would love to hear them. So thanks for checking out the channel, and thanks for checking out the video. Thank you to my patrons, YouTube members, and subscribers. If you want to check out my Patreon, it's patreon.com/stationroadratrods. My YouTube members link is down here. And thanks for watching. Have a great day, everybody. I actually went ahead and sanded down this spot and the starter mount. We're good now.